Now we've opened up After Effects and you'll be greeted with a screen. Yours might look different if you're using a different version of After Effects, but it all pretty much works the same way. You want to select New Composition because we're compositing our video with our animation. So select New Composition. All right. When this comes up, we want to give our composition a name. Call it Running Girl. The size is going to be the same size as our video, which is 1024 by 576. Your values here might be different. So make sure that they're the same as mine. We're then going to have a duration of 13 seconds. And as you can see, I've run this video through here before, so my settings are still the same. Make sure this says 13 here and then select OK. So we now have a composition area that is the same size as our video. And we want to bring in all of those frames that we rendered from Maya and play them on the screen. So in the Project tab, right click in the project, import file, locate the folder with your images. I've moved mine into a folder on the desktop. Select the first image, which is the 0001 image, and it's going to be in a PNG format, which it's picked up here. It's going to be a PNG sequence as there's more than one, and we're going to force alphabetical as well because we have all of the frames. Okay, so let's just go open, and that will import all of those images and stitch them together into one little video, and you'll see it appear in your project window, which is now here. To get that onto our composition, you can drag it from the project straight onto here or down into the timeline. I prefer to do it to the timeline. Now it's in the timeline and it's selected, you'll see that it's got these blue dots in the composition. And you'll also have this light blue bar appear in the timeline. This timeline is in seconds, which is different to what you find in Maya, which is in frame by frame. Now, if we scrub through this, look at the video composition, and it's the girl running across the screen. So they're all of our frames. Okay, next we need to bring in our movie file. So if you locate your movie file, you can just drag it from the desktop or wherever into Project, which I'll do now. Once it's loaded, you'll have that movie there, and we can drag that movie into the scene as well. Drag it down into this timeline. There's our movie, fitting very nicely inside our composition frame because we made them the same size. Now if you scrub, you'll see the girl running. Now up until this point it's good. We see that lovely shadow that looks as though it's on the ground. When we get to where the couple is, we have a problem. Remember, this is a flat video, and therefore we haven't got any depth where we can put the girl behind the couple. Another thing to note is the order in which things are in this timeline. If you grab the running and put it below the movie file, it will sit behind it and you won't see it at all. Okay, so these are stacked, and the one on top is the one at closest to you, the one that you'll see the most. So we want that running to be there. Now, how do we make the girl at this point here appear to be behind the couple? We actually need another copy of our video that only contains the couple, and we want to put that on top of the running girl. Now to do that, we need another copy of our movie. We're going to drag that in, and we're going to sit it above the running girl. At the moment, it's going to occlude her. You won't see her at all, but you end up with the video sandwiching the running animation. So the next step is to take this top video and to perform a process called rotoscoping, which helps us to pick out just the couple and keep them as the only elements in this layer. Double click on your movie and it will open it up in a single layer view for you, and you can see it here. This is your composition with everything in it. This is just that top layer. Now you can use the scroll bar to move in on it, and we're going to pick out these characters with the rotoscoping tool, which is this one here. So select that, and this one is absolutely huge, so we need to change the size of it. Let's select a smaller brush. It's probably 19 is good. We're not going to be too accurate in this case because it's just an example. To select the characters, we're going to click and drag in big strokes over them. And you'll notice that you get a pink line around the characters. They're the bits that are going to be kept in the foreground. Now, I've accidentally picked too much of this background here. If you want to get rid of something, you can hold down the Alt key and the cursor will go red, and you can paint over those areas to get rid of them. Now, some of these parts aren't necessary to rotoscope. Just see if I can get a hair in. As I said, I don't want to be too fussy with this. Okay, that's not too bad. And we could also deselect these areas here, but she's running across the background here, so I don't think you'll be able to see her boots or anything from this position. Now that we've got that rotoscoped, if we switch back to our composition and we look in closely as we scrub through here, see how the girl now gets occluded by your video that's been rotoscoped. And that's not too bad. I mean, the woman's hair could be a little better, but you can see her running behind. And her other eye at this point, if we just look here, that needs a bit more attention as well. Now, one thing that may happen to you, which hasn't happened in this case, is that the rotoscoping won't stick. So going back to just our top layer and having a look at our rotoscoping and scrubbing through, you'll see at this point here, that pink around the two people flicks to the entire screen, which means the rotoscoping has lost them. Okay, so it's not a perfect process. Now, at this point when it loses them, the girl's already past them, so it doesn't matter. But if it were to matter, you just need to scrub along and just remind After Effects of the areas that you've rotoscoped. And then move along again, and it flips out just there as well. So you would then rotoscope this bit again. Okay, so if we go back to our composition here and we go back to the beginning and press the space bar, that will build the composition for us. and we can now render it out. To make a render of the final composition is a matter of selecting Composition from the menu and Add to Render Queue. After Effects has a render queue, and you can add multiple things to be rendered at one time, which means you can set it to render and then go away and it'll produce them all. Now, first time that you do this, your output might have an untitled or nothing in there. So if you click on that output, it'll give you the options of where to put it. In this case, it's going to output a QuickTime movie. And I'm going to put it on the desktop and call it Running Girl and save that. You can also change the format of your video if you don't want it to be a .mov file. If you're doing this on Windows, you'll get a .avi file, and the different file formats that you have access to will depend on what is installed on your machine. So on a Mac, I've got all of these other options here, which is more than you'll see in Windows. If you want to produce a high quality MP4 file, which is nice and compact, you could select this H264 product. We'll just use the QuickTime at the moment so you can see it in action. Okay, so this is all ready to go and render. And to render it out, we hit the render button, and that will create our composition, which could take some time. When it's finished, you'll hear a trilling noise sound effect, which indicates it's all done, and you'll be able to open up your video in a video player and see it. And that's how you composite video and animation with Maya and After Effects.